everyone. This is Buddy Buck here with eXp Realty and Team Wren, and it is my privilege to be able to introduce our speaker and trainer for today. The topic is going to be revolving around how and why to do a great monthly market update. So with that, I have the privilege to have met this gentleman just in the last 30 days. His name is Russ Laggan. He is the Regional Director of Growth for eXp Realty here in the United States. So really honored to have him here, spending about 45 minutes with us today. And with that, Russ, I'll just kick it over to you. Thanks for the time.
All right, buddy, thanks a bunch. I do appreciate it. I got all snazzed up just for you today. Make sure I leave an impression for you guys. This will go down in infamy. The cool part about YouTube is this jacket's going to live on longer than I will. So I got to be careful what you do because you might regret it in the long term. So, buddy, I want to say thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to your team. This is a topic that's hot. And it's a topic that comes from a couple different directions. So let's set the playing field here. One of the things that you will hear me talk about when we're talking about growth of anything, any company, is each individual person needs to grow. Every single individual person grows, and then the whole thing grows, right? And the thing about the real estate business is we talk about all kinds of things and growth in the business, but really when push comes to shove, like the ultimate goal is sell more houses. I'm a sell more houses guy. Right. So I talk about selling more houses all the time. So my recipe is you sell more houses, you make more money, you attract more people that want you to sell more houses. So it becomes a self-feeding system instead of like I go out and I chase 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 business. So when I talk to real estate agents, buddy, on a regular basis, part of this conversation always comes back around to is, would you like to stop chasing business and have business come to you? That's a great question, right? And I can tell you right now, not a single person has ever said, no, Russ, I really want to chase business more. I really love chasing business. So when I start asking about the activities they're doing and how they're doing and what they're doing, what I find is that most of them don't love what they're doing to build their business. So I go back to this how and why to do a good real estate market update. So the thing that happens all the time in the real estate business as I'm out and about is I bump into other humans doing things I enjoy. It happens all the time, right? So you guys go out and about and do things you enjoy. And in the process of doing things you enjoy, you're going to have this interaction happen. Hey, buddy, how you doing? It's nice to see you. Yeah, it was a fun ride. We had a great time. So, hey, by the way, what do you do for business? Comes up all the time in normal adult interactions. So when somebody asks you, what do you do for real estate business? Unfortunately, we are taught in the real estate industry to automatically go into chase mode. So here's the rub. We automatically go into chase mode. When somebody asks us a question, we are taught to have a good sales pitch, to have a good 30-second elevator pitch, right? And unfortunately, the problem is we're taught to try to sell them something or to position yourself to set yourself up to sell something. So here's the analogy I used a couple of times recently, and I really like it because it makes sense to a lot of people, okay? I have indoor dogs, okay? They do go outside, of course. They go outside and run around in the yard, they run around the dog pen area, and then we get them to the bigger yard where they can run up, but they're still fenced in, right? I have two greyhounds. They're both rescue dogs from racing. One was rescued from Florida racing, the other was rescued from racing in China, okay? So with that being said, these dogs are not dogs you just let out and let them run, right? Because these dogs are taught to chase the nearest small furry object at a ridiculous rate of speed. I'm not saying they're stone cold killers, but if you're a squirrel, you are not safe in my yard, or a rabbit, or an armadillo, or a groundhog. And actually, they want to go after the deer too. So with that being said, if one of my dogs gets outside of the house, it starts running. It's going to run. It's going to sniff around a little bit, get a sniff of something, and boom, it takes off. So how do we get the dog back? You chase it, right? Yeah, right? So you start chasing. What does the dog do? The dog's like, oh, you want to play? Boom, boom. I can get it into the corner, and I reach for it. The dog's like, oh, no, you didn't. And off it goes, right? So this thing that happens with dogs our whole life is basically the same thing we're doing in a business interaction. Somebody says, hey, Russ, what do you do for a living? I say, I'm in real estate. And then the next thing they usually will ask is, how's the market? It happens all the time to everybody in the real estate business all around the country. Okay, so we got to get really good at answering this question. And the answer is not to go into an elevator pitch. So here's an elevator pitch that I was taught when I was younger. They're like, somebody says, how's the market, Russ? You say back to them, well, the market's fantastic. Now is a really great time to sell a house. And my job as a real estate agent is to help people help people sell their house for top dollar in a timely manner and to help buyers get the house of their dreams. And now what happens? Instead of them saying, oh, let's talk about that more, Russ, they go on defense mode or try to get out of the conversation, right? You guys have seen the look on people's face when you do the elevator pitch. Do most people, when you do an elevator pitch, say, you know what, Russ, tell me more. How can I use you as a real estate agent? This never happened. I mean, is it going to happen on occasion? Maybe. Is it rare? Yeah. So what we've got to do is we've got to start shifting this conversation. Instead of starting to chase the dog when the dog gets out, you got to automatically think, how do I get this dog to come back? And it wants to come back, right? So here's the fun part about greyhounds. Greyhounds are actually squawker trained. So you take a little duck call. And if I take that duck call and I tap that thing 3 times, those dogs are programmed for the first year or 2 of their life. Man, their brain just shuts off and they're like, oh, and they look straight at you. And most of the time they'll come running because they were taught from puppies. They go running off. When I hit the squawker, boom, you come running. I got a treat for you. Okay. The second thing we can do, which works really well when my wife's not having cooperative greyhounds, because they're not known for being super obedient, wonderful, amazing, super chill, loving, sweet animals, but they're not really good at listening. Is my wife, she wants them to do something, she just grabs the little food thing that their food is in and she shakes it and dogs are there immediately every single time, right? So I'm not saying people are dogs, but I'm simply saying that the same technique is, let's find the human version of shake the dog food, hit the squeaker, and have them come to us. And what that is this is market update, right? So in our interactions with real estate agents, we have this happen all the time. Real estate people are asked this question all the time. Well, how's the market? Or what's going on with the market? Market's shifting, market's changing. They want to talk about the market. So here's how you answer that question. You ready for this? New answer to the question is, you know what, Joe? People ask me that question all the time. So because people ask me that question all the time, I do a monthly real estate market update that tells you what's going on in the market. Would you like me to send it to you? And now you've answered that question in a completely different manner than every other real estate agent I've ever seen trained on how to answer that question. So Joe, one of your questions earlier is, how do we stand out as a real estate agent and become unique in the market? Well, number one, I'm going to answer the question with offering to give them something. So instead of going into sales pitch mode and trying to get something from them, they ask me for something and I offer to give it to them. So let me give you this analogy that goes along with this to make it even more clear, right? I get a dude that walks up to my hamburger stand and he goes, hey man, can I have a hamburger? And I go, yeah, I got a hamburger. Would you like this hamburger? And the guy says, yes, I would. And he's willing to pay for it, right? He just asked for a hamburger. I offer to give him a hamburger and he says, okie dokie, I'll take that, right? This is the same interaction that we have when we do this real estate market update shift in the way we have this conversation. So when somebody says, how's the market? My response back is, it's funny. People ask me this question all the time. So I do a real estate market update every month telling people what's going on. Would you like me to send it to you? And they say, yes, every single time. Okay. Now, let me back up. Not every single time. Once in a blue moon, somebody will say something other than yes, right? And those are the people that you run from, right? So here's the deal. People are like, well, Russ, how do you know if you should work with somebody or not? When somebody asks you for a hamburger, you offer to give them a hamburger and then they say no, run. Every time, run. You got the crazy train just stopped and they're trying to drop some stuff off at your station. Do not let crazy train stop at your station and drop stuff off. Okay, so when somebody says, how's the market? You say, hey, I have a market update that I do every month. Would you like me to send it to you? And they say no, say, thanks for your time. Have a good day. It's nice meeting you. And you walk away. Like you're not going to convert them and convince them of anything. You're dealing with crazy probably or some version thereof. Okay, so those are not your people. That's fine. For whatever reason, those are not your people, not your tribe. Most of the people, 99.9% of the time, are going to say, yes, as a matter of fact, I would. Great. So, and then I follow up with, hey, you don't have to check it out every single month, but if you had a stock that was worth $500,000, you'd probably check on it a couple of times a year, wouldn't you? And that's all I'm doing. So, ignore it every 2 or 3 months, just take a quick look at it. And if something's really changing in the market, I'll be saying, by the way, market shifting, market shifting, market shifting, market shifting. And here's what's shifting. Not just say market shifting, market's falling apart. Let me show you the exact metrics on what's going on so you understand what's happening. I'm not going to yell the sky's falling. I'm going to yell, by the way, the sky's falling. And let me show you exactly what's falling out of the sky and where you should be to not get hit by it. Big difference between scaring people and educating people on what's going on, okay? Are there parts of this country that the market is changing and going down? Yes, but I can name you 5 markets I've been in the last 5 weeks, 6 weeks, that is the exact opposite of what the market's saying. Everybody's going market shifting, sales are going down, sales are going down, sales are going down. In the Detroit market, we are at a 1.6 month supply of homes now. It went up from 1.5. Is the sky falling here? No. Is it a little different? Absolutely. But when you look at the metrics of supply versus demand, it's almost identical here in the Detroit market as to what it was the last 9 months straight, which is really weird. Shouldn't be like that. Okay, so in Indianapolis, I stood in Indianapolis. I said, hey guys, your inventory doubled in the last 6 months, in the last year. Inventory doubled. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, you're up to a 1 month supply of homes. Like, can a market collapse with a 1 month supply of homes? Nope. Does not collapse. Does it change? Are there certain things that are being done differently? Yes. But in their market, supply and demand are at a 1 month supply of homes like it had been for the last couple of years, right? And now, if it jumps up to 3, 4, 5 in the next 6 months, now we've got something we got to really pay attention to. Is it going to have some effects over the next couple of months? Absolutely. That's what you have me for, to tell a story. Okay, so real estate market update. I do a real estate market update every single month. Tells you what's going on in the market. Would you like me to send it to you? Yes, great. Boom, give me your info. I want name, address, phone number, and email address. People are like, well, Russ, what if they don't want to give me their home address? They just asked me for a hamburger. I offered to give them a hamburger and it's got tomatoes on it. They're probably gonna be like, oh, take those off. No, I don't want one with tomatoes, right? Okay, so it's not the way humans work typically. When they ask for something, you ask to give it to them, they're typically going to just give you the info you need. And I will pick up my phone and I'll be like, oh, Joe, I'm horrible at this. I promised I'd do better this year. I'm going to open up my contacts right now, hit my little plus sign, and I'm going to make sure I get all the info correct, okay? And like, okay, spell your name for me so I don't boof it up. Boom, 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 boom. Great. What's your home address? Boom, 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 boom. Good. Okay, so people give it to you. It's not a weird interaction at all. They ask you for something, you give it to them. It's not strange. Okay. Get all their info. And here's the reason why. Real estate market update. I want to do a real estate market update on video. So Joe, you asked a question before we started the tape on this. And the question was, how do I stand out from everybody else in the real estate business and be a little bit different? Well, number one, as Buddy said, just do a market update. Guys, listen, when I go into market after market after market after market after market, everybody says, yes, this happens to me all the time. So are you telling people what's going on in the market? And the answer is nope. How many of you guys are doing a market update on a monthly basis consistently and nobody puts their hands up? Once in a blue moon, I get 1 or 2 people. In a room of 50, I'll get 1 or 2. It is less than 1% of real estate agents that are doing a market update on a regular basis based on my surveys just in the last 6 weeks. I've got less than 1% of people doing it. Guys, that means 99% of people are not going to look like you if you do a real estate market update on video. Now, Joe, you might say, hey, Russ, but how do I look different when I'm doing my real estate market update? Well, here's the deal. You use your face. You are the only one with that pie hole. You got to have real estate market information coming out of your pie hole, right? Like nobody can be you. You can be you. So just having a video of you talking about generic real estate market update information connects that to you. A lot of people say, well, Russ, I'll just email it to them. No, because like if you email info, it doesn't connect it to you, right? I want the bald-headed weird dude with the crazy tie and the crazy jacket, by the way, red inside too, right? I want that crazy guy saying these words, and then they connect you as the expert. So doing a real estate market update is to help you look like an expert. If you talk like an expert, walk like an expert, act like an expert, are people more likely to pay you like an expert and treat you like an expert? Yeah. The best way to do that is to do video. Now, I've had people in the past, I'm not going to name family members' names, who is also a real estate agent. She will mail a market update, but she refuses to do video. She's like, Russ, I don't understand why my sphere doesn't convert better. I'm like, because they're not connecting you with the expert information. You mail it to them, it doesn't lock it in, right? But when they see you and your face saying experty info, it connects the two of them together. And they're more likely to do business with you, okay? Video is key in building credibility in the real estate business. And it also makes you stand out because a lot of people refuse to do it. No matter how many times I say it, they refuse to do it. Even though they know it makes them an outlier, it makes them somebody who really stands out. They refuse to do video. So a couple things, I've got a video on how and why to do good do good video, with a little recipe on how to do video. Buddy, if you'd like me to, I can send that video on how to do a simple video so that people can learn from that too. So I can add that as a value piece if you don't mind me doing that. Nice hat. Love that. Okay, so how am I to do video? Added value for you guys. You guys want that? Yeah, good. Anybody else watching this at a later date, if you want that, reach out to Buddy. He'll have a copy of that how and why, how to do a short, simple video. Okay, good. So number 2, I'm going to take that video and I'm going to drop that video on YouTube. And here's the reason why. YouTube is a great format to start dropping your videos in. Number 2, you can actually do a whole lot of really cool stuff just with YouTube and helping build your business. Okay, that's a whole nother section and a whole nother story we could talk about. Buddy, that's like a 3rd recipe we got, but you're going to need that anyway. If you guys don't know how to set up a YouTube channel, here's what you do. Go to YouTube and type in how to set up a YouTube channel. YouTube will teach you how to set itself up. It's really, listen, I'm not super tech savvy and I figured it out, guys. It's actually fairly straightforward and simple. Okay, so set up a YouTube channel, give people the ability to connect. It also gives me the ability to email this link. Okay, so do a video, drop it on YouTube. Now I can email the link. So I can post the link in a couple of different places. Here's the recipe for where to send your real estate market update. And then I'll tell you guys what to put in it. Okay. So first things first, I'm going to drop this in social media because it's going to be simple. People go, Russ, well, what one should I use? Use the one that you use. Right. Like I'm not like, don't go out and learn TikTok and Instagram and like find the one you're at. Like I do almost everything on Facebook still. And they're like, well, that's because you're old, Russ. My nieces are like, hey, you're old. Bite your tongue. Social media, use the one that you use, right? Once you get to that and you're doing a good job with that and you got an extra 5 minutes, maybe then learn Instagram. I just started doing Instagram recently. One of the people in the company are like, hey, Russ, as a leader, can you do some Instagram stuff on live? And I'm like, yep, that's easy. Show me how. Okay, but they had to show me how. I didn't know how to do Instagram live till like 4 weeks ago, guys, by the way. Okay, social media, start doing that. Okay, the second setup is going to be, I'm going to email this to people. Okay, here's a reason why. Buddy, if I have something I post on social media, how many people are going to see it? Very, very few, right? You're going to have a small cross section of people that see it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post it on social, and then I'm going to post it on social a second time. The reason I'm going to post it on social a second time is because a lot of people missed it the first time. Hey, Russ Laggan, real estate dude. By the way, if you missed this last time, here's my real estate market update for the month of December. Check it out. Hit it the second time so that you get double the hits with the same material. So I do one video, I post it 2 times on one social media platform, and now I get twice the exposure for the same exact thing. I'm doubling my money. Okay, get twice the use out of it. So it makes it more effective. Second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to email it to people. When you email it to people, you're going to have your list, get your list set up and get it automated any way you can. Worst case, drop it in KV Core and make sure it's in KV Core so you can email blast out to your people. And you're going to email blast out the link to your YouTube where you've uploaded your video, right? And you're going to have some kind of sexy, slinky title for it. Like, you're not going to believe what the market's doing now. This market is, and the second one, this market is insane, period. This is not what you thought it was, period, right? It's like, these numbers are still ridiculous. Those are the types of way you title the email address, and people would be like, what numbers are ridiculous, Russ? Well, I better find out. Open it up, right? So now if you're sending that to reasonably trusted sources, people are going to be more likely to open it. What's a good open rate on email? Do you guys know? 10% is actually not a bad open rate on email. If you get it at 20, you're doing pretty good, unless you've got a very small cross section of specific people with a specific message for that specific group. When you're doing a mass email type of thing, if you get into 10 to 20% open rate, you're doing pretty good. So how many people in your sphere see it on social? Maybe 10, maybe 20% if you got a really small sphere. How many people are going to see it in email? 10, maybe 20% if you got a really small sphere and they trust you really well. Okay, so now you're up to, whoa, maybe 20%, 30% of your people seeing it. So now what do you do? Okay, the last part of this equation is you can mail it to them. So what I'll do is I'll do a summary and I will type it up, put a little pretty picture with a holiday tree now, and I'm going to lick it, stick it, and ship it. So I will do a paper version of this with a summary. And the summary kind of goes something like this. Hey, you guys, it's the end of the holiday season. Winter's starting up here in Michigan. We're starting to see people putting their lights up. We still haven't seen snow yet this year of any amount, which is really unusual for mid-December. It's been unseasonably warm, which I happen to love since I'm more of a Florida guy than a Michigan guy. So with that being said, the real estate market actually has moved and chilled a little bit like it normally does this time of year. We are now at a 1.6 month supply of homes. And what that simply means is that the market still doesn't have enough supply for the amount of buyers that we have in the market. Regardless of what interest rates have done, the market still doesn't have enough homes available for the amount of people that want them, which means we're probably going to keep pushing prices up. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. Let me know if you want to know specifically what your house is worth. Hope you have happy holidays. See you next year. Russ Laggan, signed. Fold it, lick it, stick it, put in an envelope, and ship it to somebody else. Okay, here's the deal. If I hand address that envelope, and I've got 200 people in my sphere, I do 200 of those on a monthly basis, bi-monthly minimum, every other month printed minimum. How many people actually open that mail? All of them. All of them, right? So people are like, well, Russ, but I don't know, like, I don't want to do, like, it's the only way you're going to have almost every single one of them open it, right? Worst case, they're going to see it and they're like, there's a stupid thing from that stupid Russ guy again. And they shred it and throw it in the garbage without even reading it. But that's not the norm, particularly if you hand address these things. They're going to open it, they're going to look at it, and then they're going to throw it in the garbage, but at least they saw it. So what I'm doing is I'm making sure I'm top of mind. So at some point when somebody says real estate, your brain, your name pops into their head. Listen, they're going to need you once every 7 years, guys. Do you want to be in their way when they come blasting through needing something for real estate? This is your way of getting in the street and being there when they happen to drive by. That's part of why we're doing this. We're putting it out there every single month for the opportunity. Potentially, maybe that's the month when they're saying they got to do something. I don't know what everybody in my sphere is doing and when they're going to move. Even if I ask them, it's not accurate. So with that said, I want to make sure I'm in a position where I guarantee they have seen me at least 6 times a year, if not 12 times a year. People say, well, Russ, what do you recommend? You recommend doing 6 or you recommend doing 12? I recommend doing 12, but some people refuse to do it. So I'll say the absolute minimum is you got to be every other month. Because let's say what happens, the holiday season goes through, you send one out in December, you don't send anything out in January, they go to the holiday party, Uncle Joe says something stupid, now Aunt Betty wants to leave him, next thing you know, they're going to get separate, this stuff happens after the holidays, boom, you gotta be at top of the mind. Somebody's going to have a fight at Christmas and want to leave. It happens, right? Welcome to family. Okay, so it's being in a position where when somebody thinks real estate, good or bad, I'm in a position for them to actually be able to see me and potentially have me do that. Now, the other part is they're going to have seen me doing it on video and so forth. So they're connecting me and my verbiage to that expertise. Now I'm in position. That's the reason why market update is super powerful. There's a recipe to start that through, to work your way through on that. Okay, good. All right, so now here's the question. What do I put in my market update? Okay, so for me, I've got a sample, by the way, buddy, I've got a sample on how and why. I've got a video of this, how and why to do a real estate market update. I can send that to you also, which I think you've seen. And then I've got a couple of samples, right? So I can do long format stuff, I can do short format stuff. So here's some of the key parts of information. We have to make sure we keep this as simple as possible so most people understand it. I want to make sure I give enough information so people understand it. I sound like an expert, look like an expert, talking experty information, saying experty things, but I don't want to overwhelm them so they're completely baffled with my BS and so confused that they want to do business with me, right? What I want to do is I want to make it so simple they're like, wow, that guy makes sense. When I get a chance, I want to use that guy, okay? So here's a couple of things that I will do, various things that I do with market update, okay? Total number of listings in your market. Total number of listings in your market. That's a good piece to know, right? What is that total number of listings in your market? Okay. The second thing is going to be total number of sold properties in the last 30 days. Okay, so those two pieces and parts are super, super important. So I can use the same cross section, same metric for how many listings in a specific market and how many have sold in that same specific cross section. Now, a lot of people will say to me, well, Russ, well, how do I get that info? Well, there's a bunch of the MLSs in the country that actually have a little tile on the front page, on the home page. When you open up the MLS, if you have something real comp or matrix based MLS, on matrix, there's a little tile down in the bottom right that'll say market statistics. Weird, huh? right? If you don't have that right on your front page of yours, then you can also go in the little search bar in almost any of your MLSs and type in market statistics, and it'll pull up the local market statistics, and they'll have typically a summary. In any of the matrix based, that little tile actually has charts with little line graphs, and you can go back 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years real quick and tell what's going on, right? So let's do the math on this, okay? Total number listings in a market. So should we do a market update for our hyper local market? Okay, so I'm going to do hyper local market. The reason I would say absolutely yes, because people are saying real estate is becoming much more hyper local. They want a hyper local expert that really knows their market. Okay, so I'm going to say for me, let's say hypothetically, I'm Detroit market currently. I will say, hi, my name is Russ Laggan, and today I'm going to give you a quick real estate market update for the area that is southwest Detroit, which is Plymouth, Canton, Livonia, Novi, Northville area. Here's what's going on in that area, right? Or I can say, here's what's going on within 7 miles of downtown Plymouth. Most of the people in that area be like, okay, I know where that is, right? Downtown, here's within 20 miles of downtown Birmingham. Here's within southeastern Michigan. So you got to quantify what that is. And I want to stay reasonably consistent, okay, with doing a local, hyper local micro market. So I like north of Tampa, right? I'm in the new Tampa market. I was in new Tampa market for a number of years in Florida. And I spoke about the new Tampa market, which was Lutz, Land O'Lakes, Wesley Chapel-ish area. And that was a huge area, but it's growing really fast. So I did a hyper local market update. Here's what's going on in the new Tampa market. And then secondly, I would do an area. Okay. So for some of you guys, you might be like, well, I don't really live in a town, Russ. Okay. So you're going to do area, right? So within 10 miles of here, or for me, I will do hyper local southwest Michigan, Detroit area, and then I'll do southeastern Michigan, the whole market, because my MLS covers the whole market. So I can pull the stats for the whole market. So I get the whole southeastern Michigan. So here's the thing. Hyper local, these are people I'm touching and I'm around, and people see me out and about, and they see me walking my dogs. They see me wearing my cool jacket. They see me out in the evening. They'll bump into people at the cigar place, right? Hyper local. What's going on in my immediate area? And people ask me all the time, hey, Russ, how's the market? Heck, I was in Phoenix last week, sit down at a place for dinner. My dinner guest was a team that I was working on trying to attract. And the guy has a 3-week-old baby, and I got trumped by a 3-week-old baby, which is perfectly fine with me. I was like, I'm super happy to have dinner by myself. I sit down to have dinner, minding my own business. And the guy sits down next to me and he goes, hey, man, how you doing? Looks like you dressed for work. Where are you from? I'm from Detroit, Michigan. He's like, what are you doing here? I was like, I'm a real estate guy. I'm here speaking for somebody. And they're like, and the next thing out of his mouth was what? How's the market? He freaking did it right in front of me, guys. Literally taught the same thing the next day. I'm like, I was here, boom, boom. The guy asked me that, and here's what I did. Okay. So hyper local is good. And then area is super, super important to get area, because people don't move typically inside the same neighborhood. They move from one neighborhood to another. They move from Livonia to Plymouth. They move from Plymouth to Northville. They move from Northville to West Bloomfield to Birmingham. As you make more money, that's how you stack yourself up, right? When you're making baller money, you go to Birmingham, right? When I'm making good money, I'm in Livonia. When I make better money, I'm going to buy a house in Plymouth. And when I make real money, I'm going to go into Northville. Taxes in Northville are crazy, right? And now I want a little bit of land, and I've got real money, I'm going to West Bloomfield. So you got to have the ability to make sure people are moving through, and you're able to communicate with them what's going on in the overall area, because people move within the area, move within the city. They move left side to right side. They move north to south, okay? So make sure you have both, okay? If you really want to get crazy with it, you could do a state market update every couple of months, and then you can also do a national every couple of months. So if you are in a market like Sarasota, Florida, Tampa, Florida, I'm going to do a national market update because I want to touch other people that are outside of my area, because they're more likely to move into Florida than from out of state than anywhere else. So I want to make sure people nationally go, hey, that guy knows his stuff. If I ever go there, I'm talking to him. And by the way, people in Tampa move out of Tampa, so I can still communicate and connect with them in my sphere. Okay. So this is at minimum do hyper local once a month. Okay. And if you want to have a second market update that talks about the whole area, that's not a bad idea to do it once a month. So I could say one time a month, and then do the state one every 6 months or so, and a national one maybe once a year. Here's what's going on nationally, guys. If you hadn't heard, by the way, nationally, we still have a housing shortage. Last checked I saw, and the last numbers I saw metrics, is we are at 1.5 million home shortage nationally. What does that mean? Nationally, we have a home shortage. Nationally, it means there's not enough homes and more buyers that want to buy them than we have available. What does that do to house prices? They go up. Okay, when supply is down, demand is up. Supply is down, demand is the same. Supply continues to go down, demand is the same, prices go up. Now, supply is down, demand is flattened out, and it's still going to make property prices go up because there's still more people that want to buy than we have houses for. A good typical balanced real estate market is somewhere between 5 and 7 months supply of homes. Almost everywhere in the nation is below 3, a bunch of them, right? Chicago, below 2. Indianapolis, below 2. Fort Wayne, Indiana, below 2. Detroit, Michigan, below 2. Tampa, Florida is right at 2, plus or minus, right? Seattle, Washington, by the way, still below 2. Really? Okay, so with that being said, supply is still down in a bunch of markets. Okay, so with that said, it's really good to know what the listings total are so you can tell what the trends are. Okay, second thing is sold in 30 days. Here's the thing. Now, this is cool because some people will call this absorption rate, right? I call it supply of homes, right? If no other homes come on the market, how many months supply of homes do we have? So if I have this number and this number, I can tell you what the supply number is. Kind of neat how this is working out, isn't it? Okay. And then the last thing I'm going to do and make sure I have is I'm going to have median sales price. Median sales price. And the reason I want to do median versus average sales price is if I'm in a smaller micro market, hyper local micro market, and there's only 300, 400 sales in that market, if you get one sale at $62 million, it throws the whole curve off. But if you use median, that simply means there's 150 houses that were higher priced, there's 150 houses that were lower prices, right in the middle of all of the sales. So if you get one house that's $62 million and everything else is 200, it doesn't throw off the metrics at all. It's just one house at the top with a wacky number. The median number will be much more consistent. And I typically will explain that to people. The reason I use this is because it's much more accurate what's really going on in the market based on what has sold. Okay. So I use median sales price, which means half the houses are more costly, half the houses are less. It gives me a good stable number to run off of. Average can jump up and down in a smaller micro market. In a bigger market, cross-section state-wise, average is fine, right? But again, keep in mind, just because the median sales price went up doesn't mean the average sales price in every market went up either. Just means that the stuff that sold went up. So what happens in a market like this right now? People are going, Russ, but the sales prices are going down. It's like what happens is the top end of the market slowed down because they're all going, whoa, 7.5%, 7.25%, 6.25% interest rate. I'm going to sit it out for a minute. Let me watch what's going on. But the bottom end of the market always moves. So that median level will track down even though we still have the same amount of sales volume. Okay, that's why you need to know how many listings total do we have. Is that number dropping off or is that going way up? How many sold in the last 30 days? Is that going down or going up? So once we understand the context, and these two are together in creating a number that's a supply. Supply of homes is a really good number because we have the ability to actually track on a monthly basis what's really going on. So if supply is going down, sales went up, if the total number of listings went down, sales go up, the supply is going down. Okay, so the supply of homes can go up for two reasons. Less people buying, same amount of listings, supply goes up, right? Okay, so let me throw some numbers on this so it's not confusing, okay? I've got 1,000 houses available within 5 miles of this point, and in the last 30 days, there was 500 closings in the last 30 days in that same cross-section. We're at a 2-month supply of homes, okay? Let's say half the buyers show up because this time of year, there's less buyers because people don't typically want to move during the holidays as much typically. Let's say there's only 250 people that decide they want to go looking for a house and close on a house in the next month. Then this would actually jump up to a 4-month supply of homes with 250 purchases, right? So now we've got a scenario where it's just a math equation. And most of the time the MLS will do the math for you. Okay. So the other thing that can happen is, let's go backwards here. So I want to make sure you guys know how this moves, right? Okay. If I have 2,000, inventory goes up 1,000, and I have the same 500 buyers, I'm still at a 4-month supply of homes. Inventory can go way up, buyer level stays the same, inventory total supply goes up, right? So it can give you the ability to measure the metrics of what's going on in your market. So the question is, did inventory go up? Is that why the supply went up? Or did buyer level go down and that's why the supply went up? It's important to know, right? So if you have the same amount of buyers coming in every month and more listings, the supply is going to go up with it. Okay. So you got to know where this is coming from. So a lot of people are going, well, Russ, you don't understand, man. Like inventory went through the roof. Like, yeah, but in a lot of markets, the inventory doubled. And then the buyers are like, hey, man, there's houses available. I'm going to go out and buy one of those. And we're still stuck at a 2-month supply of homes. I've said in a bunch of markets in Tampa a number of years ago, and I could dig up video on this, guys. I said, if the inventory in Tampa doubled in January, February, we'd have double the buyers pop out of the woodwork, and the supply of homes would actually probably go down because we'd have another buyer burst. And what happened in January, February? Typical, inventory went up, and the buyers like, oh, a house is available. Boom, they jumped on it, right? So the supply of homes stayed the same. It's happening the same way in Detroit, Michigan. January, February, March last year, inventory went up a little bit, and the buyer level went up to match it. It stayed at a 1.5 month supply of homes for 9 months straight in Michigan this year. Went up to 1.6 in October, November, which happens every year. Inventory typically goes up in the fall. It's normal, okay? So with that said, that's good metrics, okay? Now, median sales price, I want to do year over year. So let's say currently, what is the median sales price? Current median sales price in a bunch of markets, nationally, somewhere around $380,000, right? So here's the thing, guys. Here's the difference with a real estate market update, what I teach and what everybody else is teaching or other people say. Well, median sales price is $380,000. Well, if it was 500 last year, we got a problem, right? If it was 300 last year, do we have a problem? Not necessarily, right? So what does it mean, right? You've got to give them some context. So here's the difference, Joe, on how I stand out as a real estate person. I don't show up and say, we're at a 2-month supply of homes. Never, ever spit out a statistic like that unless you're able to tell them what that means. Say, okay, so you don't just tell them the number, you tell them the number and then tell them what it means, okay? So total number of listings within 10 miles of Plymouth currently sits at 2,000. Just for the record, last year it was at 2,000. It's the same amount of listings in this market that there were last year. So I go into Indianapolis and I go, hey guys, was 2019 a good year? Good supply of homes? Yeah. Good sales volume? Yeah. Good sales price? Yeah. What's going on right now? Boo. I'm like, all right, so the numbers right now are identical to 2017 for you guys. So why is it boo now when it's the same listing, same sales as it was 4 years ago when everybody was all excited? Okay, so knowing the market numbers and knowing the market stats, you get the market numbers don't lie. The things people say about them and the feel of what that means does. So we want to say, what is the market really doing? So if we are at a 2-month supply of homes, should we be screaming the sky is falling like every other knucklehead around the country? No. Are there some markets that the inventory is going up and volume of buyers is going down? Yeah, there are a couple. But overall, national number, 1.5 months supply of homes, debt right now, currently, by the way, this is December 2022, just in case somebody's watching this 10 years from now. Russ was right for the minute. I may change my mind in January, which is why I do this monthly. Okay, so what's happening? Is it okay for the supply to go up this time of year? Yes. Is it supposed to go up this time of year? Yes. So I want to make sure I have these 4 metrics so I can tell what's going on in the market. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2022, the numbers are, and then I'm going to go 2021 over the last year. What happens now? What was it a year ago? By the way, inventory is 2,000. By the way, last year it was 1,986, basically the same. By the way, sold properties in the last 30 days last year was 500 sales last month. A year ago, we were at 510 sales in the same 30-day period. So basically, the market in supply and demand is almost identical, which is why we're still at a 2-month supply of homes like we were last year. So regardless of what the market's telling you, regardless of what people are saying, from a supply and demand standpoint, we are almost identical to what we were last year. The only difference is the rhetoric that goes around with it. By the way, right now we're at a $380,000 median sales price. And last year at the same time, we're at $320,000 $100,000 median sales price. So over the last year, the median sales price in our market has gone up $60,000 1 year. So if you're thinking about buying a house, you should have bought one last year. If you're thinking about buying a house, you should buy one now. Based on this metric, and this metric, aside from the fact that interest rates are way up, house prices are probably going to still keep climbing. House prices don't decline at a 2-month supply of homes. So if that starts shifting, I'll let you know, right? Now, if you're concerned right now about the interest rates being 7% versus 3.25%, which they were earlier in the year, here's the thing. If you're renting right now, it's still a better time to buy a house. Even if the house doesn't go up one single dollar in the next year, it still beats the heck out of throwing away $20,000 guaranteed on rent. So if you're worried about 6.5% interest rate, your current interest rate on rent is 100%. Don't worry about 6 when you've got 100, right? Even if the house price went down 10 grand in the next year, which it's not likely to do at these statistics, you're still ahead $10,000 over renting. So if you're planning on living in a house long-term, this is a good time to buy a house. Long-term, this will keep moving. Can it go down a little bit potentially? Yep. It's got to go down less than $20,000 a year for you to actually lose something. By the way, at the end of 30 years, whatever that house is worth, $2 or $3 or $4 or $5 or $600,000, you get to take the cash from that when you're done using it. At the end of 30 years, ask your landlord if he can give you your money back. The answer is going to be no every single time. Okay. So with that being said, is it still a better time to own a house than rent? Yes, absolutely. Okay. So here's the rest of the recipe. Okay. I want to make sure we're clear. Keep this simple. So what do we tell people? I'm telling you guys all of this info, right? Can I do every other month a long version? Let me show you what the total listings are, total sold, total supply, and total median is year over year. By the way, let me show it to you from, if I do a long version, I'm going to show you 2019 also. I'm going to go back 3 years, 4 years to show you what's happened the last 3 or 4 years. By the way, they say the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. In 2019, the same house was $280,000. So if you sat out the market, $280,000 to $300,000 in the last 3 years, you lost 100 grand. How many more years do you want to do that? Even if you broke even, still beats being behind $100,000. Okay. So with that said, should you buy a house now? If you can, yes. Figure out a way to do it. Okay. So 2 different recipes. One, I'm going to send you the long version, which is me doing a long version for Michigan. It takes about 3 minutes to go through all of this. Okay. Keep it really simple. Here's what the number is. Here's what it means. Okay. Now, if I'm going to do some social media related stuff, the social media posts for me are going to be really simple. A lot of times I'll do some bootleg stuff. I've done actually in the last 3 or 4 states I went to. Seattle, I did one. Phoenix, I did one. Indianapolis, I did one twice, actually. Chicago, I did one. I literally, in front of the group, I'm like, would you guys like to see me do a short real estate market update right now live? And they're like, yeah. So here's what I do. Grab my cell phone. I'm like, here's my real estate market update for social media. I pop the thing open. I'm like, hi, I'm Russ Laggan, the real estate dude. And by the way, I'm in Detroit, Michigan right now. If you didn't know, the supply of homes in Detroit, Michigan is still at a 1.6 month supply of homes. And what that means for you is, if you've been thinking about buying a house, we still have ridiculously low supply and we still have strong demand for houses. If you didn't know this already, house prices in the Detroit market went up over $20,000 year over year. So if you're thinking about buying right now, based on our current supply, it's still going to keep doing that. Even if it went up a little bit, still a good time to buy a house. My name is Russ Laggan, Real Estate Dude. See you next time. Real Estate Market Update, Detroit. There it is. Short, sweet, 40 seconds, 50 seconds. I'm just going to pull one of these stats, 2 of these stats max. I'm going to say, by the way, everybody keeps talking nationally. Inventory is going through the roof. Just so you know, in the Detroit, Michigan market, inventory was at 2,000 homes in this cross section in the last year. And right now, it's actually at 1,977. So it's actually less houses this year than there were last year at the same time. So when people are talking about the supply of homes going through the roof, that doesn't apply to our immediate market. So if you live in another market, you might want to have somebody show you those numbers, tell you those numbers, because the numbers don't match what I'm hearing out in the business, what I'm seeing and hearing on social media. So make sure you get the facts. My name is Russ Laggan, Real Estate Dude. If you want more facts, don't hesitate to reach out to me. See you next month. Okay, that's how you do short, sweet. Grab 1 or 2 nuggets of this. 1 month I can do total number of listings. Next month I can do total number of sold properties. I can do whatever is going to make the most sense to people. Okay, So you're not going to pull all of this and throw it all out. Will I do a long version every month or every other month? Absolutely. But then when I'm going to do some social stuff, I can do a short version of that, and I can repost that 2 or 3 times. Just in case you missed it, here you go. Good. So hyperlocal area gives you a lot of information to do a lot of different directions. You've got basic information here, know it and understand it. If you can't roll this stuff off the top of your head in your local market, you're not really an expert. Ooh, did that hurt? People are like, I'm an expert. What's your supply of homes right now? I don't know. I think let me ask a chemist. You guys aren't chemists, are you? No. Let me ask you guys. You're not chemists, but I'm going to ask you a chemistry question. What is the chemical composition of water? H2O, right? You're not even a chemist and you know that, right? Are there some people out there that know more real estate stuff than we do? Yeah. Should we know some of the basic formulas so we don't sound like a knucklehead? Yeah. If you want to get paid like an expert, should you sound like an expert? Yeah. Do you want to give them every expert piece of information you've ever known when they ask, how's the market? No. Hey, by the way, I do a market update once a month. You want me to send it to you? Yep. Good. Every once in a while, things are changing. Every once in a while, I actually print it out and send something out. So I'll send that to your house once in a while too. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Cool. Now I use that, buddy, in conjunction with having a good contractor list, right? Good contractor list. By the way, we work on houses. Houses are a mess. Things break all the time. Shouldn't you be a resource for a contractor list? Yeah. So market updates 1, have a contractor list. So when something goes wrong with your house, call me. If they're going to call me when their plumbing breaks, they're going to call me when it's time to sell their house. And now I'm building credibility. I'm attracting business to me. Okay. And then the third component is a social media process and campaign. Social media is important. This is one thing to do on social. And then the rest of the thing to do on social is to actually have a social media process where you actually show people in your hyper-local market, what are the cool things in your local market? You start dropping that stuff on YouTube and using that on social. Now you're starting to become Russ, the real estate guy that's doing cool stuff that's interesting and fun. By the way, I'm going to go check out that restaurant he talked about. By the way, I'm going to go check out that mountain biking trail he talked about. By the way, I'm going to go check out ice skating. By the way, I have 2 kids. They'd probably love that water park. I didn't know that was there. By the way, your kid's fascinated with rocks. My kid's fascinated with rocks too. Check out this rock shop. That's interesting, right? Here's 5 of the best places to get ice cream. That's the stuff you start doing on social. So I have a white paper for you. Buddy, have you seen the white paper on how to build a contractor list? Secondly, I've got a white paper on how to do social media and become a social media interesting person. Not look at me, I'm a realtor. I do, hey, I'm Russ, a realtor. I'm checking out this restaurant. You guys got to see this. Phenomenal. Best saffron rice I've ever had. Made my hair curl. Check it out. That's the kind of stuff you start doing on social, not look at me, I'm a realtor. Okay. And then you have social media start coming to you. If you do those 3 recipes, starting first off with market update, you've got something nobody else has in the market. Almost nobody has in the market. We call this blue ocean. I'm not competing everybody with all the blood everywhere. I'm in blue ocean. Almost nobody's doing a good market update consistently. Secondly, almost nobody has a good contractor list. They got a couple here and there, but they don't have a good one, right? I do a good market update. And by the way, I have a contractor list and I can build that contractor list. My recipe will show you how to add 240 people to your sphere of influence just on your contractor list. That'll convert at about 5% if you do a good job. That's 12 sales a year from just running a good contractor list. 12. Okay. Doing good social media. You become a resource for all the cool things in your area. You become a local area expert. And if you start posting all that stuff on YouTube and you search engine optimize that, which is simply putting keywords in saying, hey, what state are you and what city you're in? Here's 5 cool things you can do in Detroit, right? Here's all the awesome places in Detroit to eat. Here's all the awesome places to check out music. People will check out Detroit music, Detroit restaurants, Detroit fun, Detroit sports. They'll check out all of that stuff on YouTube, and Russ the Realtor shows up being the guy that checked out 20 different restaurants in the last year. I'm going to do one every other week, and I've got 20 something plus restaurants that I've done a quick review of. Hey, I ate here. This is pretty good. I could just stand outside, do a selfie video of that, post that on YouTube. Now people will be like, hey, man, this guy checks out some cool places. I'm going to follow that guy. Now you become the resource for them for cool places to go and things to do. And you get a holistic 3 different recipes that all drives business to you. Okay. Bam.